Captain Alan Garcia stood at the viewing deck of the Earth vessel Horizon, watching the stars blur past. Earth had joined the Galactic Coalition only 6 months ago. Now, he represented all of humanity at these fancy space meetings. He adjusted his blue uniform and sighed. The weight of his duty felt heavy today. "Captain, we're approaching the Nexus station," said Communications Officer Lisa Kent. Her voice was steady, but Alan noticed her fingers tapping nervously on the console. "Thank you, Officer Kent. Inform the crew to prepare for docking procedures." The Nexus station hung in space like a massive silver wheel, home to the Galactic Coalition's diplomatic headquarters. Hundreds of alien ships docked at its spokes. The Horizon looked small and outdated by comparison. "Remember," Alan told his crew, "we're the new kids here. Watch, learn, and don't make promises." As they docked, Admiral Susan Wright's face appeared on the main screen. Her gray hair was pulled back tightly, and worry lines creased her forehead. "Captain Garcia, this meeting is more important than planned. 2 major species are on the edge of war. The Vrexians and Lorians both requested human representatives be present." Alan frowned. "Why us? We barely understand coalition politics." "That's exactly why. They see us as neutral. Just listen and report back." The meeting chamber was massive, with delegates from 30 species seated around a circular table. The Vrexians, with their blue exoskeletons and 4 arms, sat opposite the Lorians, who looked almost human except for their silver skin and large dark eyes. Ambassador Zex of the Vrexians spoke first, his translator converting clicks and hisses to English. "The Lorians have violated our territory in the Maxis system. They destroy our mining operations and claim the resources for themselves." The Lorian representative, Consul Terrace, stood smoothly. "The Vrexians lie. The Maxis system has been neutral territory for centuries. They placed weapons there first." Alan listened carefully as both sides presented evidence, maps, and historical claims. Something felt wrong. Both seemed too eager to convince the humans, often speaking directly to Alan rather than addressing the whole coalition. After the meeting, Lieutenant Gregory Patterson approached Alan in a quiet corridor. The young intelligence officer looked around nervously before speaking. "Captain, I intercepted some strange communications. Both the Vrexians and Lorians are sending encrypted messages about us." "What do they say?" "That's just it. I can only decode parts, but they're discussing human military capabilities and our weapon systems. Why would diplomatic teams need that information?" Back on Earth, Admiral Wright received Alan's report with growing concern. She called in her top advisors to a secure room deep within the United Earth Fleet headquarters. "Item like this," she said, pacing the room. "Both species are too interested in us. We need more information." Defense Specialist Kyle Reeves nodded. "The Vrexians have a powerful fleet. The Lorians have advanced technology. If they go to war, it could destabilize the sector. And they both want us involved," Wright concluded. "But why?" 2 weeks later, Alan was invited to private meetings with both species. The Vrexian ambassador showed him images of Lorian ships supposedly threatening their colonies. The Lorian consul offered technology exchanges if Earth would support their territorial claims. That night, Alan couldn't sleep. He stood at his private viewport, watching the strange stars. "They're playing us against each other," he said to himself, "but they don't know humans very well." He didn't realize then how right he was, or how dangerous the coming months would be. As Earth prepared goodwill missions to both alien territories, trapdoors were opening beneath their feet. The game had begun, and humanity was the prize. 3 months passed since the tense meetings at Nexus Station. Captain Alan Garcia sat in his command chair on the Horizon, reviewing reports when the emergency alert sounded. "Captain, urgent distress signal from Vrexian Colony World Terrace 4, Officer Kent said, her voice tight with concern. "On screen," Alan ordered. The main screen showed a Vrexian official, one arm damaged and blue blood visible on his exoskeleton. Behind him, buildings burned. Earth vessel. We are under attack. Lorian warships struck without warning. They target civilian areas. Please help us. The transmission cut off abruptly. Alan turned to his first officer, Commander Eric Daniels. Set course for Terrace 4, maximum speed. Alert Earth Command of our response to the distress call. 20 hours later, the Horizon arrived at Terrace 4. The sight shocked even the most experienced crew members. The colony's main city lay in ruins. Fires still burned in some sectors. Vryxian survivors moved through the wreckage, searching for the living. Scan for Lorian ships, Alan ordered. None in the system, Captain, replied Tactical Officer Jim Watson. But I'm detecting weapon signatures consistent with Lorian pulse cannons. Lieutenant Diane Mercer, the ship's science officer, frowned at her readings. Captain, something seems off about these energy patterns. They're almost too perfect, too clearly Lorian. Meaning what, Lieutenant? I'm not sure yet, she admitted. It just seems convenient. Alan led a team to the surface. Governor Kraz, the Vryxian colony leader, greeted them with all four arms raised in their gesture of distress. 3 Lorian battleships appeared yesterday. They claimed to be on patrol but opened fire without provocation. They targeted homes, schools, medical facilities. This was no military strike. It was massacre. Alan's team provided emergency aid while collecting evidence. The attack looked brutal and one-sided. When they returned to the Horizon, Alan called Admiral Wright. The evidence points to an unprovoked Lorian attack on civilians, he reported. Governor Kraz has formally requested Earth's protection. Admiral Wright's face was grim. The Lorians deny any involvement. They claim the Vryxians are staging this to draw us in. People are dead, Admiral. The evidence may not tell the whole story, Wright interrupted. Lieutenant Mercer's concerns about the weapon signatures deserve investigation. Before Alan could respond, another emergency call came through. Officer Kent's face went pale as she listened to the transmission. Captain, Earth Outpost Gamma 7 is under attack. Lorian ships confirmed. The room fell silent. Gamma 7 was a peaceful research station with over 200 Earth scientists and their families. Get us there now, Alan ordered, ending the call with Wright. When they arrived at Gamma 7, the destruction was even worse. The station had been completely destroyed. Escape pods floated in space, many damage. The Horizon crew worked desperately to rescue survivors. Dr. Beth Riley, the station's director, was among those saved. Her face was burned, her voice weak. They came without warning. Said we were hiding Vryxian spies. When we opened our doors to prove we weren't, they opened fire anyway. Back on Earth, the Security Council met in emergency session. Fleet Commander Peter Shaw showed the images from both attacks. We can no longer stay neutral. The Lorians have attacked both our allies and our own people. I recommend immediate military response. Admiral Wright remained troubled. Something about this feels orchestrated. We need more time to investigate. But when the images of dead children from Gamma 7 appeared on screen, the vote was unanimous. Deploy the fleet, ordered the Council President. Humanity will defend itself and its allies. Within days, 12 Earth warships joined the Vryxian Defense Fleet. As they moved toward Lorian space, Lieutenant Mercer and Lieutenant Patterson exchanged worried glances. We're being played, Patterson whispered. But by whom? And why? 6 months into the war, Earth ships fought alongside Vryxian forces against the Lorians. Captain Alan Garcia now led Strike Force Delta, a group of 5 human warships. His vessel, the Horizon, had been upgraded with new weapons. The once peaceful exploration ship now carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Status report, Alan ordered as they approached a contested planet in the Maxis system. Lorian defenses are stronger than intelligence suggested, reported Tactical Officer Watson. They've placed orbital platforms around the entire planet. Why are they protecting this world so fiercely? It has few resources, Alan wondered aloud. Back at Earth Command, Lieutenant Gregory Patterson worked late in the intelligence division. For months, he had collected battle reports that didn't make sense. Now, he secretly met with Lieutenant Diane Mercer, who had been transferred from the Horizon after questioning too many orders. "Look at these attack patterns," Patterson said, showing her a map of the conflict zone. "The Lorians always retreat from certain areas without a fight, while defending seemingly worthless positions to the death." Mercer nodded, "And the Vrexians do the same thing in different sectors. It's like they're both fighting for specific locations, not strategic advantages." "I mapped those locations," Patterson said, overlaying a new image. "They form a perfect circle in three-dimensional space." "What's in the center?" Mercer asked. "That's what we need to find out." On the front lines, engineer Olivia Carter made a discovery while repairing captured Vrexian weapons. She called Captain Garcia to the engineering bay and showed him a small device hidden inside a Vrexian missile. "This modifies the energy signature," she explained. "When this missile explodes, it leaves traces that look exactly like Lorian weapons." Alan's face darkened. "You're saying the Vrexians could have attacked their own colony and made it look like the Lorians did it?" "Yes," Carter said simply. "And I bet the Lorians have similar devices." Alan immediately sent encrypted messages to Admiral Wright with this information. 3 days later, he received new orders: investigate the center of Patterson's mysterious circle while appearing to conduct normal combat operations. The Horizon broke away from its battle group, claiming engine troubles. They traveled to a small, uninhabited moon that didn't appear on most star charts. As they approached, their sensors detected massive energy readings beneath the surface. "Whatever's down there is ancient," said Science Officer Paul Mitchell, who had replaced Mercer. "The technology doesn't match anything in our database." A team landed on the surface and discovered an entrance hidden in a crater. Inside, they found a vast chamber filled with technology beyond their understanding. At its center stood what looked like a control platform. "This is why they're fighting," Ellen whispered. "Not for territories or resources, but for whatever this is." Before they could investigate further, both Vrexian and Lorian ships appeared in orbit, demanding they withdraw. Meanwhile, at Earth Command, Fleet Commander Shaw received visitors from the Centauri Alliance, a neutral species that had stayed out of the conflict. "We feel we must warn you," their ambassador said. "Both the Vrexians and Lorians are using humans as proxies in their war." "We've begun to suspect as much," Shaw replied grimly. "But why?" "The Maxis system contains ancient weapon platforms built by a long-extinct civilization. The technology is too dangerous for either species to control directly due to genetic locks. But humans can interface with the technology," Shaw finished, understanding dawning. "They're not fighting each other. They're competing to see who gets to use us to activate these weapons." Shaw immediately called an emergency meeting of Earth's Security Council. As evidence was presented, the council members looked increasingly angry. "So our people have died for a lie," the council president said. "The question now is, what do we do about it?" Earth Command acted swiftly but secretly after learning the truth. Admiral Susan Wright sent coded orders to all human ships: establish independent supply lines, create separate communication channels, and trust no one but fellow humans. Captain Alan Garcia received these orders while still investigating the ancient moon facility. His team worked quickly to download as much data as possible before returning to the Horizon. "We need to be careful," Alan told his crew. "If either the Vrexians or Lorians suspect we know the truth, they might attack us directly." Back on Earth, military engineer Ryan Nelson worked day and night in a secret lab. He had studied both Vrexian and Lorian weapon designs for months. Now, he tested a new shield system on a small drone. "Fire the Vrexian pulse cannon," he ordered his assistant. The blue energy beam struck the drone but scattered harmlessly around it. Now the Lorian phase disruptor. The green beam likewise failed to penetrate the shield. Nelson smiled. "It works." The adaptive shield analyzes incoming energy patterns and reconfigures to resist them. Neither alien weapon can break through. Within weeks, every human ship received the new shield technology. When the Phyrexian commander ordered Captain Garcia's strike force to attack a heavily defended Lorian position, he expected heavy human casualties. Instead, the Earth ships emerged from the battle without a scratch. "How is this possible?" demanded the Phyrexian High Commander in a private transmission. "Your ships should have taken significant damage." "Human innovation," Alan replied simply. "We adapt quickly." The Phyrexians grew suspicious. Their scientists examined the shield technology, but couldn't understand how it worked. In their frustration, they planted sabotage devices on 3 human ships during a joint repair operation. Security Chief Frank Martinez discovered the devices during a routine scan of the horizon. "They were set to disable our engines during the next battle," he reported to Alan. "We would have been sitting ducks." Alan called an emergency meeting with the Phyrexian High Commander. He brought the sabotage devices and placed them on the table between them. "Explain these," he said coldly. The Phyrexian's 4 arms twitched nervously. "A misunderstanding. Some overzealous security officer." "Don't lie to me," Alan interrupted. "We found identical devices on 2 other ships. This was coordinated." For the first time, Alan saw fear in the aliens' compound eyes. The Phyrexians had underestimated humans. Meanwhile, Dr. Melissa Grant made a disturbing discovery in her lab on Earth. The xenobiologist had been studying tissue samples provided by both alien species as part of medical exchanges. "These contain human DNA," she told Admiral Wright, pointing to Lorian biological containers. "They're developing weapons that target our genetic makeup specifically." "Biological weapons?" Wright asked, horrified. "Yes, if we try to leave the war, they could release these against Earth. They're insurance to keep us fighting for them." Fleet Commander Shaw received similar reports about the Phyrexians. "Both sides are preparing to force our continued participation or punish us if we refuse," he told the Security Council. "They see us as tools, nothing more." The Council President stood, her face grim with determination. "Then it's time to show them exactly what kind of tools we are. Implement Operation Safeguard." Across the galaxy, human ships suddenly changed course. They abandoned battle formations and moved to predetermined coordinates. Both the Phyrexians and Lorians sent urgent messages demanding explanations. Earth answered with silence. When the Phyrexian High Command threatened severe consequences, Captain Garcia sent a simple reply: "You should worry less about what we're doing and more about what we've learned." The message sent shivers through the alien leadership. The humans knew something important, and they were angry. 3 days after all human ships changed course, Admiral Wright addressed the Galactic Coalition. Her message was broadcast on all channels, so every species could hear it. "Earth formally withdraws from the conflict between the Phyrexians and Lorians. We declare ourselves neutral, effective immediately. Any attack on human ships or settlements will be considered an act of war against all of humanity." The announcement caused chaos. Phyrexian representatives stormed out of the coalition chamber. Lorian diplomats made urgent calls to their military leaders. Neither species had planned for this. Behind the scenes, Operation Safeguard moved to its second phase. Captain Alan Garcia received new orders. His mission: extract all human personnel from combat zones while gathering intelligence on both alien factions. "We'll split into small teams," Alan told his officers. "We need to rescue our people from research stations, outposts, and joint bases without alerting our former allies." The Horizon moved silently through contested space, its new stealth systems hiding it from alien sensors. At each location, extraction teams slipped in, collected human personnel, and disappeared before anyone noticed. Lieutenant Diane Mercer, now back on the Horizon, worked with a team of communication specialists to develop something revolutionary. "We call it quantum communication," she explained to Alan. It uses entangled particles to send messages instantly across any distance. Neither the Phyrexians nor Lorians can detect or intercept it. Can we deploy it fleet-wide? Alan asked. Already happening, Captain. By tomorrow, every human ship will be connected. The Phyrexian High Command sent Earth an ultimatum: return to the fight or face destruction. The Lorian Supreme Council issued similar threats. Fleet Commander Shaw received both messages during an emergency meeting at Earth Command. He shared them with the Security Council before revealing a surprising fact. While they've been threatening us, we've been mapping every military installation they have. Thanks to the data Captain Garcia collected from the ancient facility, we now understand what they're fighting for. He displayed a star map showing dozens of weapon platforms hidden throughout the disputed region. The ancient civilization who built these created them as a defense network against some unknown threat. When activated together, they can generate enough power to destroy entire star systems. And both the Phyrexians and Lorians want control of this power, the Council President said. Yes, but they needed humans to activate it. Something about our brain patterns allows us to interface with the technology. So what's our response to their threats? Asked a council member. Shaw smiled grimly. We show them why involving humans in their war was their biggest mistake. Across the galaxy, human ships made synchronized jumps into position around key military targets. The Horizon led a strike force to the Phyrexian flagship, while other teams targeted Lorian command centers. Engineer Olivia Carter's team had developed special EMP weapons based on the ancient technology. These devices could disable alien systems without causing deaths. All ships in position, reported Officer Kent on the Horizon Bridge. Captain Garcia gave the order. Execute. Hundreds of EMP devices activated simultaneously. On thousands of alien ships, systems failed. Weapons went offline. Engines shut down. The mighty fleets of both species floated helplessly in space. Using the quantum communication network, Alan broadcast a message to both fleets. This is Captain Alan Garcia of Earth. We could have destroyed your ships and killed your crews. Instead, we chose to show restraint. Your power will return in 24 hours. Use that time to consider your next actions carefully. In the Galactic Coalition headquarters, other species watched in amazement. The humans, considered primitive just months ago, had effectively neutralized the two most powerful military forces in the galaxy without firing a shot. Admiral Wright addressed the coalition again. Earth didn't start this conflict, but we will end it. Now, we would like to discuss peace terms. 24 hours after disabling the alien fleets, Captain Alan Garcia stood on the bridge of the Horizon, watching as power returned to the Phyrexian ships. Across the galaxy, Lorian vessels also hummed back to life. The question on everyone's mind: what would they do next? Incoming transmission from the Phyrexian flagship, announced Officer Lisa Kent. The main screen showed the Phyrexian High Commander. His blue exoskeleton looked dull, and his compound eyes didn't shine with their usual confidence. Captain Garcia, he said, his translator making his clicks and hisses into flat words. The Phyrexian High Council wishes to discuss terms. Similar messages came from the Lorians. The humans had their attention. While military leaders talked, Engineer Olivia Carter led a team to the largest ancient platform they had discovered. Unlike the others, this one was intact and operational. It's some kind of control center, she told Admiral Wright via quantum communication. From here, we can monitor all the other platforms, maybe even shut them down permanently. Wright relayed this information to Fleet Commander Shaw, who was meeting with both alien factions at a neutral space station. He smiled slightly before addressing the gathered representatives. Let me be clear about our position, Shaw said. Earth will not help either side activate the ancient weapons. In fact, we're prepared to disable the entire network. The Lorian Supreme Commander stood up angrily. You have no right. Those platforms represent power beyond your understanding. Power you were willing to sacrifice our people to obtain. Shaw replied coldly. Did you think we wouldn't discover your plan to use biological weapons against us once we were no longer useful? As the military leaders argued, Captain Garcia began a different approach. Using data gathered during their covert operations, he contacted civilian leaders on both Phyrexian and Lorian worlds. Your military commanders have hidden the truth from you, he explained, showing them evidence of the ancient weapons and the plot to use humans to activate them. This war isn't about territory or resources. It's about gaining power that could threaten everyone in the galaxy. Many were shocked. On some worlds, protests began against military leadership. The Phyrexian Council of Elders, a civilian group, publicly questioned their military's actions. Security Chief Frank Martinez led a team to secure the main control platform. When they arrived, they found Lorian special forces attempting to break in. Stand down, Martinez ordered. This facility is now under Earth protection. The Lorians raised their weapons, but before they could fire, Martinez activated a portable shield generator. The alien weapons had no effect. You can't win this fight, Martinez said simply. Go home. Admiral Wright addressed the Galactic Coalition again, this time with proof of both species deception. She showed recordings of secret meetings where military leaders discussed using humans to activate the weapons, then disposing of them afterward. Earth seeks no territory, no power over others, Wright said. We want only peace and honesty between species. Today, we're revealing the truth so that everyone can decide their future with full knowledge. Other species in the coalition, long suspicious of both the Phyrexians and Lorians, began to speak up. The Centauri offered their support to Earth. The Krell, usually neutral, publicly condemned the manipulation of a younger species. By the end of the week, civilian governments on both Phyrexian and Lorian worlds forced their military leaders to stand down. Some were arrested for war crimes. Others resigned in disgrace. The Horizon, once a simple exploration vessel, now orbited the control platform as part of an international protection force. Captain Garcia looked out at the stars, thinking about how quickly everything had changed. Captain, said Lieutenant Mercer, interrupting his thoughts. The Galactic Coalition is called. They want Earth to lead peace negotiations. Elan nodded. Tell them we accept. It's time to build something better than war. 1 year after the conflict ended, the galaxy looked very different. The Horizon, now rebuilt as a diplomatic vessel, orbited Nexus Station. Its weapons had been replaced with expanded meeting rooms and advanced communication systems. Captain Alan Garcia, now Ambassador Garcia, straightened his formal uniform as he prepared to welcome delegates from across the galaxy. Today marked the signing of the Non-Manipulation Accord, a treaty preventing stronger species from using others as pawns in their conflicts. Nervous? Asked Lieutenant Diane Mercer, who had become his chief advisor. A little, Alan admitted. A year ago, I was just a starship captain. Now we're reshaping galactic politics. The main conference room filled with representatives from 27 species. The Phyrexians and Lorians sat far apart, both delegations led by civilian leaders. Their military forces had been reduced and placed under strict civilian control after the truth of their actions became public. Admiral Susan Wright, now head of the Coalition's new Transparency Division, opened the ceremony. We gather today not to celebrate victory, but to ensure such manipulation never happens again, she began. Earth was drawn into a conflict not our own. But in responding, we discovered a better path forward. The signing proceeded smoothly. Each species pledged to respect the sovereignty of others and to resolve disputes through the Coalition's new mediation system. The ancient weapon platforms had been permanently disabled, their technology studied only for peaceful applications. In the Earth delegation, Security Chief Frank Martinez, now a commander, leaned toward Engineer Olivia Carter. Do you think they've really changed? He whispered, nodding toward the Phyrexians. Or are they just afraid of us now? Carter smiled. Maybe a bit of both. Fear can be the beginning of respect. After the ceremony, Alan met privately with the new Vrexian Elder Council leader, a scientist named Kraz who had once governed the colony that was attacked. "My people owe yours a great debt," Kraz said, his translator conveying genuine regret. "Our military leaders led us down a dark path. What matters is where we go from here," Alan replied. Similar conversations happened throughout the station as former enemies became cautious allies. Earth had gone from the newcomer species to a respected mediator in galactic affairs. Lieutenant Gregory Patterson, now Commander Patterson, approached Admiral Wright with a datapad. "We've detected unusual energy signatures in the Orion sector," he reported. "Two species are mobilizing their fleets. It looks like another conflict brewing." Wright expected to feel dread, but instead felt oddly confident. "Send the information to the Coalition Council. This time, we'll address it before it escalates." To everyone's surprise, when the potential conflict was brought before the Council, the species involved immediately requested neutral mediators. No one wanted to risk injuring Earth or its growing list of allies. In the final hours of the conference, a memorial was unveiled in the station's central plaza. It listed the names of all who had died in what historians now called the Deception War. Both Vrexian and Lorian representatives laid ceremonial offerings beside the human names. As Alan prepared to return to the horizon, he found Fleet Commander Shaw looking out at the stars from an observation deck. "Did you ever think we'd end up here when you first joined the fleet?" Shaw asked. "Never," Alan replied honestly. "I thought we'd explore, trade, learn about our neighbors. Instead, we taught them about us," Shaw said. "Sometimes the best way to make friends is to show them exactly what happens when they make you an enemy." As the Horizon detached from the station to begin its journey home, a new entry appeared in the Galactic Coalition's official records. Under diplomatic protocols, a simple but profound warning was added. "When dealing with humans, respect their autonomy, value their trust, and above all else, keep them out of your wars, or face the consequences."